What's up, guys? I'm coming at you live from the editing room. It's the same room as my recording room, but we're just gonna ignore that. It sounds cooler that way, okay? But I just had to come in here real quick, let you guys know that my original plan for this video was I was gonna do my long-term holds, and then I was gonna throw in at the end as a bonus. Wanted to surprise you guys, but I blew it. But at the end, I was gonna throw in a bonus of sets that I'm holding long-term. But as I started editing it, putting it together, I realized that that'd be a very, very long video, and I think it'd make more sense to break that up into two. So I gotta say this right now, but these collectibles in this video, they are collectibles that I'm holding long term on their own, standalone. So if it seems like I'm missing a lot of big time blue chip collectibles, it's very possible that they're in the next video that I'll be putting out, which is my long term sets. So for example, the golden moments, on their own, each individual collectible in that whole collection is a long term hold for me on its own. But since I hold the entire set, they all got left out of this video, and they'll be in the next video where I cover sets exclusively. With all that out of the way, sit back, relax, grab a drink, grab a snack, go ahead and just enjoy the video. There are just some collectibles on the Veve app that I will never sell. Either I will never sell them, or I'm not even thinking about selling them for 5+ years. So here are 10 collectibles that I am holding long term. The main calculation, or the main factor that goes into how I decided these, was the value, the rarity, and the long term potential. But mixed in, there are a few collectibles, or there are a few reasons that I won't sell for sentimental, personal reasons. So just keep that in mind, and I'll be explaining my reasoning for all of them. I think it's kind of fun to make your collection, a bit personal. I just think that having a few collectibles that might not be the most valuable, or that you might not think will be the best long term, having them because they're special to you, I think is what makes collecting so fun and so special, and makes it a more fun experience than just trading crypto on a computer screen. This really brings it to life and really brings together the community. So let's get straight into the list. We'll be starting from common all the way up to secret rare. So starting off with the commons, coming in with my first long-term hold is Wonder Woman. Before Wonder Woman came out on the Veve app, if you would have asked me if this would be a long-term hold, I would have said no. And actually, on the day of the drop, after the market opened up, my girlfriend suggested that we sell what we got for the drop and put it toward buying Wonder Woman, because even though she's a common, she is by far the most popular character out of this group. And so I followed her lead, and that one really paid off. I was able to purchase my Wonder Woman after the drop for just 194 gems. And since then, that investment has gone up over 1,000 gems. And that is because I am not the only person who learned how popular she really is. Next up on the list, we're still in the commons, and we got first appearance Joker. So that's number 2, and then just for time's sake, for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna toss in number 3, which is first appearance Harley Quinn. I'm gonna lump these two together because they are very similar. So they're both commons. They're both from very early sets in Veve in general, and also the Batman Black and White series. And they are also extremely popular characters who have been popular, but really got a big boost in popularity over the last few years or so, because they have had box office hits, and these movies have really put these characters into the spotlight. So for that reason, even though these have seen a big uptick along with every other Veve collectible, I still think that for the first appearance of these massive characters, they are still extremely undervalued, and that's part of the reason why it's a long-term hold for me, is because I don't think the value of these is anywhere near where it should be. Number 2 and 3, Joker and Harley Quinn. Let's move on to number 4. And believe it or not, we are still in the common section, and there's actually one more common after this. So just because they had the lowest rarity on them does not mean that they are worthless. I know you guys already know that, but this really illustrates how valuable commons can be. And just because something is scarce doesn't mean it's inherently valuable. But anyway, got a little bit sidetracked there. Next up, for number 4 on my long-term holds, we got Steamboat Willie. So although there is no tag on this collectible, such as a first edition, like some of us would have liked to seen for the first edition of Steamboat Willie collectibles, although there's no tag, do not sleep on this collectible. It is still insanely valuable. It's still the first time that we have seen Steamboat Willie in NFT form. And Mickey Mouse is just by far and away one of the most famous and recognizable fictional characters of all time. And having the chance to own a first of any kind of Mickey Mouse digital collectible will go so far, in my opinion. And so as Disney continues to release more and more NFTs, I think that we'll really see the best of the best, the first of the first, start to stand out more and more. And that's exactly what I envision happening for Steamboat Willie. Coming in at number 5, and to round out the commons of this list, is number 100, Todd McFarlane Batman. The OG of all OGs, the first of all first, you cannot go wrong with Todd Batman. And out of all the collectibles that I'm holding long term, this is definitely toward the top, if not the top of ones that I will not sell anytime soon, if ever. There will be a time when holding a Todd McFarlane Batman is literally impossible. I could definitely see all 7,000 people at a certain point in time that just don't want to sell. It got through enough hands, they got to enough people where the people who now hold them, they are perfectly content owning their piece of Veve and NFT history. So I am definitely not going to squander my chance to be holding a Todd McFarlane Batman in my wallet, because if I were to sell it, I don't think I'm going to get it back. I'm just being real. And it just really is a great symbol for how early that we are in Veve, and that I just had the chance to pick it up. I have two, and I got them both for under $500. And we will never, ever, ever see any price anywhere remotely close to that. So I'm keeping that in mind, and I only see it going up from here. If you guys are enjoying the content, I would really appreciate just a second to click like, leave a comment, hit subscribe. Anything really helps the algorithm and pushes this video to more people in the Veve and Ecomi community. So if you're enjoying it and think other people would too, maybe you could help your boy out a little bit. All right, so we're finished with commons. We got one uncommon, and then we're making a jump straight into ultra rare and secret rare. So for the first and only uncommon on this list of my long-term holds, coming in at number 6 is first appearance Superman. So this collectible really speaks for itself just in its looks alone. I mean, this is one of the most epic looking collectibles, one of the cleanest, most crisp looking collectibles, and it is the first appearance of one of the most famous comic book superheroes of all time. Like, not even close. Everyone knows Superman, and I really believe that the hype of new IP coming in and bigger IPs such as Marvel and Disney have really overshadowed the DC collectibles, and I don't think that they're getting the love or the recognition that they deserve. And although Superman has shot up in price recently, when you compare to other primetime blue chip first appearance collectibles, this one is way below the herd. Granted, it does have a bit more editions than you would normally expect. That might be why it's slightly lower. But when we have millions and millions and tens of millions of users on the app, the difference between a few thousand collectibles is not going to matter. It's going to be a wash in the long run. So I will not be selling the first appearance of one of the most famous superheroes of all time anytime soon. That will be sitting pretty, sitting tight, all nice, warm, and cozy in my vault for years to come. All right, guys, now it's time for the big jump in rarities. Now it's time for the big dogs. It's time for the ultra rares and the secret rares. So next up on my long-term holds is first appearance Marvel Mighty Dr. Doom. Now this one might be a bit unexpected. It's probably the least bona fide of the long-term holds, or of the blue chip, so to speak, on this list. But for this one, I'm using a bit more speculation and a bit more foresight, and that's because there have been rumors that Dr. Doom is going to have a very prominent role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and maybe a Thanos type villain. So if that does come to fruition, then this collectible will be a lot more popular and will be a lot harder to get your hands on when it comes to that point. But not only that, I recently learned that Fantastic Four number 5, which is the first appearance of Dr. Doom, is one of the most popular, valuable collectibles in real life. And when I look at Comics and Crypto's comic book rankings, which I always use as a gauge, I highly recommend them as a source for just Veve and comic book knowledge in general. But when I look at that list, it is always toward the top, and I didn't realize how massive Dr. Doom is. And if he only continues to get more massive, and as Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom get more introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then this collectible could be insanely undervalued today, which is why I'm riding this one out. It's a long-term hold. I'm gonna see how it goes, and if my speculation does pay off in some way. Next up, we got first appearance Carmine Infantino Robin. Now, if you've been around on this channel for a while, first of all, thank you very much for your continued and early support. But if you've been around for a while, you may have seen episode 1 of Flenny's Favorites, where I cover collectibles that I think will be valuable for the long term, but also have sentimental, personal value to me. But episode 1 of that series, and currently the only episode that is out, I'm working on more, covered this collectible right here. First appearance Carmine Infantino Robin. And the great things about this collectible is that it is extremely rare, only 1,750 editions, first appearance of a very popular character, and something else that I think people don't really put into calculation long term, it might not be a big deal, but it's something small to consider, especially in this case, is that I feel like the hardcore collectors, and when the vaults get more active and when the AR pictures get going more, I think that it's going to be a big deal to have first appearance Batman and first appearance Robin side by side. We've got the superhero and the sidekick in action. And we just keep chugging along. We are at number 9 on this list, and the last ultra rare. And what this collectible might be for my long-term holds is first appearance, ultra rare, Spider-Man. Now I really wish that I was saying secret rare instead of ultra rare before that word, but ultra rare is what I have. And if you guys have seen the price differential between the two, you would see why I feel that way. But this is about my long-term holds, and I don't hold secret rare Spider-Man, unfortunately, but I do hold the ultra rare. And this is a long-term hold for me because it's the closest that I can get to the secret rare, and also just on its own, it's the first ever Marvel set, the first ever Spider-Man collectible, and those two things alone are really all you need for your perfect blue chip long-term hold. The only way I'm selling this collectible is if it's to flip up to try to get the secret rares. Maybe I'll sell this and a few other things and combine the money and put it to a secret rare, but this is the best I have for now, and if it's the best that I can ever have, if secret rare Spider-Man is always unattainable for me, then I'll be happy, very happy with still holding this because it's the next best thing. So now we are on to number 10. So the first and only secret rare collectible on this list is first appearance secret rare Storm. Now there are a few reasons why she is a long-term hold for me. The first reason is that she is the first ever X-Men collectible. If you go to the market, if you go to brands and then click on X-Men, she is the only thing that pops up. And I think that as more and more of her X-Men buddies continue to get added into the Veve ecosystem and they can be placed together and it just forms more of a coherent X-Men team, I think that the first one will stand out more and will have more value. But not only just having the first, I think eventually holding at least one or maybe, the set of every single X-Men could be a very valuable thing to be holding, and also a very prestigious achievement for hardcore collectors. But the other reason is that I have heard speculation that she is going to be in the next Black Panther movie, and she may have a pretty prominent role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So if that is true, then that is just icing on the cake that makes this collectible even better to hold long term as more movies, more shows, as she just gets more spotlight in media. And I forgot to mention this when I was talking about Doctor Doom, but I'll just throw it in now because it applies to both Doctor Doom and Storm. But I feel like both the Fantastic Four and the X-Men have really gotten no kind of love from Marvel. It's really been the Avengers and now the Eternals, and then there have been, Avengers have gotten their own shows and that kind of thing. So I think now, I know they're now shifting some attention to Fantastic Four and X-Men. So as they start to really flesh out these characters, flesh out these stories, bring them back to life and bring them into the public spotlight and get people excited about it, then I think that's when we'll really start to see the value of these just rise and rise and rise. Because I'm gonna be real, I haven't watched anything Fantastic Four or X-Men since I was a little kid. Now, I'm not super into superheroes or comic books, so I'm sure some of you have, but there just isn't really popular, prominent things to watch from those groups currently, but that's all gonna change, which is what makes this a long-term hold for me. So there's all 10 long-term holds for me that I will not be selling either ever or for at least 3, 4, 5, 10 plus years. Let me know what you're holding long-term down in the comments below, and I'll leave it at that, guys. As always, this has been NFT Flenny. I'll catch you guys next time.